All right, welcome everyone. Welcome to Sea Talk. Great Thursday afternoon. Couldn't think of a better thing to do than beer tasting with friends. So today we're joined by Dan and Andy from Molson Coors, Amit from Go Local, and Jazz from Spa. So look, we're going to be tasting some great beers today. Thanks for the opportunity. So Dan and Andy, over to you.
Yeah, hello. My name is Andy Kenneth. I'm just a business manager at Molson Coors. I brought over today a beer expert in Dan from our beer sommelier team to do some tasting of beers more formally with you, but really just to have some fun. So one of our strategies is all around ensuring that we celebrate life's moments. So this is a great way of doing that is trying some of these products. So I'm going to hand straight over to Dan.
Cool. Thank you, Andy. And hello, everyone. Thank you very much for having me. As you say, there aren't many better ways to spend a Thursday afternoon in the sunshine than and having a few beers, and delighted to share it with you guys. So thank you for that intro. I would make one slight amendment to it in that indeed I am a beer sommelier. That is my job. I have not made that up, as my wife would have you believe, so I can visit the pub more often. Pleasure to geek out with all of you here about beer.
Hi, I'm Amit from Go Local in San Diego. I've been in the game now for 25 plus years, grew up behind the counter, and this is probably my favorite thing in the world. I love drinking beer. I'm my best customer. I taste every beer that comes in our shop.
Yeah, I'm Jazz. We've got 2 Spa stores in the city centre of Sheffield. I've always grown up in the sort of shop environment. My parents have both got stores. And I decided to go solo about 7 years ago, just after I'd left university. I'm
going to chat to you about 3 beers, about Cobra, about Madri, and about Star Apartment, all lagers, but all with something slightly different, with a slightly different makeup. And I'm going to talk you through that. I'll talk you a little bit through the brewing process as well and how we do that, and then give you a little bit of brand history on each one as well as we go, because there's a little bit more in that as well. Right. Let's talk about the beers we've got here then. So we'll start with Cobra. We'll go in ABV order. So we'll start with Cobra. Cobra is a lager that was born out of a love of food and a kind of exploration for a beer that goes with several different types of food. So Lord Karen Billamoria started this in 1989. And when he came to university here, he found that he loved cask ale, like myself, loved cask ale. There's no real kind of carbonation or a lot of carbonation in cask ale, not as much as lagers. You found you couldn't really eat that with certain types of food, especially spicier types of food. So that didn't really work. You found the lagers over here at the time to be very gassy, very, very highly carbonated. So didn't really want that either. So thought, well, can we brew a lager with less carbonation? And that was Cobra. That's where it started. So first thing we'll do, we'll have a look at the appearance of it. So if you've ever done a wine tasting, beer tasting is exactly the same. First thing we're going to do is have a look at the colour of it. We'll look at the appearance, and what we're looking for here is the colour of it. So colour is gained from our malted barley. So our malt. And what we'll do is we'll kiln that to get to the right colour that we want our beer to be. So if we're making a lighter beer like this one, we will kiln our malt for a short amount of time. And if you have it in its raw format, if you try raw barley kernels in their raw format, they almost taste like Ovaltine, like breakfast cereal, that kind of sweetness. That's the sweetness you get in beer. It's balanced out by bitterness. So hops give us our bitterness, and we add hops that will also give us the head on our beer. It's all aromas, but it's also oil. Put oil in water with CO2, it will rise to the top. It's what creates the head on our beer. That's what hops give us our bitterness. So with this one, if you give it a look, then lovely golden colour. Give it a swirl and give it a smell. Now, the best way of doing this, short, sharp sniffs like a rabbit is the best way, because your nose is a sensitive organ. So you put your nose in, you go, and you really start smelling. It will give up partway through. So what you want to do, put your nose in, short, sharp sniffs like a rabbit. That's why I love doing this in a wine glass, because you think of a wine glass and how it's this kind of conical shape that goes in at the top. It kind of traps all the aroma in there. You can put your nose in, and when you're tasting as well, your mouth goes in and your nose goes in at the same time. 80% of what you taste is the same as what you smell. which is why when you've got a cold, you can't really taste anything. So you give it a smell, see what aromas you get from it, give it a taste, and then see if what you taste matches what you smell on there. Any thoughts on that, first of all? Anything jumping out? Is it more sweet, more bitter?
Sweeter.
I'd probably say more bitter.
More bitter. And that's why I love doing that question about what is everyone's favourite beer or favourite drink to start with, because everyone's taste and everyone's perception of it is different, which is a very personal thing. Someone might pick up bitterness first, someone might pick up sweetness first. And if you start telling people, oh, this, oh, that, oh, the other, someone might not get that. They might get something completely different. Yeah, so it's always interesting when people say that. Anything specific jumping out? And again, no right answers really with this.
Got a more bitter aftertaste for me.
Yeah. You get those hops in at the end.
I'm definitely saying that as well. It's bringing that bitterness through.
It does have that bitter finish. It does have that nice bittering finish. It's not, as I say, overly carbonated, so you don't get that real kind of gassy kind of finish to it. There's a couple of additions in here that makes it a bit smoother. So the reason Karen wanted to make it that way is to make it a bit smooth. He wanted something that was halfway between an ale and a lager. So he made this lager less carbonated, so it could take on a broad range of foods within that, especially spicier foods. It could take that on nicely and not overpower it. So addition of maize, addition of rice in there makes the beer a bit smoother, makes it lighter. The rice will make it lighter. And yeah, they've done a great job with that. A little bit of wheat in there, which will add to the body of it as well. So it's a good combination. And again, much like Budweiser, is quite a complex brewing of itself.
Has it the same flavour the whole time? Because I don't remember it tasting like this last time I had a Cobra.
And that's the other thing with this. I mean, once you stop and you kind of go through it, you do pick up things that are a little bit different in there. We haven't changed the recipe of it. It hasn't really changed at all.
Just to add to that as well, Amit. So I put a slight different lens on it. Is that so? I remember maybe 10 or 15 years ago, the amount of lagers that were in the market, and now look at the amount of lagers that are in the market. So the things that you're tasting due to the pub, in the store, wherever it may be, wherever you consume these products, what you'll find is your taste profile probably change from what you'd expect because of the things the variety of what's out there in the market. So for people that might have tried Cobra 5 years ago, might feel it's different now than what it was because of that.
I think if I was ever to pick up a Cobra, it'd be in a restaurant. That's probably why I'm only assuming this with food. Like, it's not something I'd take home and drink as a beer.
And that is the opinion of a lot of people. I mean, it's not seen as a beer in its own, or it hasn't been seen as a beer in its own right. But we're trying to get through that and actually bringing it in. As I say, you've just tried it now, and it's different to how you remember it. Once we get people to kind of drink it as a beer in its own right, you can see how much of a complex beer it is and how much of a point of difference it really has. I like this beer. It's quite an underrated beer in our portfolio.
Take away just some complexity around that. So for store owners and for restaurant owners, but particularly actually store owners, there's so many different world beers out there now as to what to range.
Yes.
The Spanish, Italian, Czech beers, all that sort of stuff. Actually, Cobra is a really good one. As someone may pick up takeaway locally and then pop into a store to buy some beer, whether they're actually going to cook at home, the new takeaway style. This is where Cobra really comes in around food and spice. And actually, we're seeing drinking occasions drop. But the great way of introducing people into the category is with food, and beer with food is a really good category option. So that's what I'm saying around, it's about having that right range in stores. So when people are coming into your store, they're thinking, right, I'm going to have spicy food tonight. I need something to complement it. And we've done a lot of cross-category solutions where, and that really helps drive your sales from someone coming in basket spend of maybe 10 quid and actually spending 30 quid because they've got that full night sorted. So that'd just be one probably commercial point, I would say.
And you've got a good entry in there. So the Cobra Zero, which is in the can format, it's doing well because that zero category is almost like really important as well now in stores. And it's good that, the family of products sit within Cobra really nicely.
Yeah, so the Cobra can is a silver can as well.
I've not seen that.
Really
I've not seen a zero version of Cobra. Not in a can. I've seen it in the bottles.
Yeah, so it's now it's recently launched in a can in a 330 can, as is the beer in a pack 330. And the idea is you buy your whole pack for a food solution, and with the big rise in 0% products, that's where Cobra really fits in. So yeah, that's enough from me talking around category, etc.
Good.
Right. Speaking of those Spanish lagers, let's go on to Madrid. Let's move on to Madrid. So, we can't really speak about Madrid without speaking about Toledo and La Sagra Brewery. So the story starts with La Sagra. It's a small craft brewery just outside of Madrid in Toledo. And Carlos, their brewer, made IPAs, pale ales, etc. We created a lager with them to try and take on this market. And Madrid was the result, 4.6%. Has a touch of, it talks about additional ingredients as well as the usual four of malted barley, hops, water, and yeast. Touch of wheat in there as well, which will add to the head retention, as you see in there, Amit. It's got quite a head on it on there, especially in the carbonated glass.
Is there a right way to pour this? Because I think I've messed this up.
Best way of pouring a beer, you're aiming for about 10 millimeters worth of head in every beer you pour. The way you do that is if you want less head on your beer, you pour beer onto glass first. So you hold it at a 45-degree angle, you pour beer onto glass till it starts to fill up. You wait until you get about to 2/3 or so of the way to 3/4 of the way up before you start to tilt it. You get more head on your beer by pouring beer onto beer. So that's why we tilt it at 45-degree angles, leave it until you're about 3/4 of the way up, and then tilt your glass back, and you end up with about 10 millimeters worth of head on top of your beer.
But it will depend on how chilled your product is as well. So if your product is really, really well chilled, so in a pub action, if it's extra cold temperature, it'll probably less likely of fobbing. So if you go into a pub and you see the beer's fobbing everywhere and the staff are going, "Oh no," it's probably because it's not cool enough. And actually, similarly, when you have a bottle or a can, if you decant it into a glass and you pour it at a 45-degree angle, it's probably not cold enough. So yeah, it's always. Personally, I love beer absolutely freezing cold.
Same.
But yeah,
I think this is just one for upsetting pints.
Yeah.
Not at all. I've seen much worse. I'm
a regular on that website.
I see.
They take a lot of my content.
Right. Very good. Right. Okay. So, same with this one. So very similar in colour. That kind of dark golden kind of colour. Give it a swirl. Give it a smell.
Yeah, it's a lot sweeter.
It tastes a lot different out of the bottle than it does from on draft.
On draft, yeah. So Madrid has a shorter finish, but I think the addition of that touch of wheat and the way they've balanced the two together, the malt and the hop together, it gives it that bit of the word people come up to me and say it's got more body to it almost. It's got a little bit more body to it for 4.6. And I think that's what they're driving at. It's got that more of an extended sweetness in there, so you do get that sweetness throughout. And don't get me wrong, it's done fantastically for us. So it's a lovely balanced example of the beer. And yeah, really good. Glad you like it, Paul.
I think this one tastes smoother than the Cobra.
Say again?
I think this one tastes smoother than the Cobra did.
Okay.
Oh, it's so nice. It's my favourite.
Fair enough.
I'm preferring the Cobra in fairness. I do like Madrid, don't get me wrong, and I would drink it all day long, but
yeah,
Yeah, but I don't know. The Cobra is a bit different. I think it's because it's not as common. Madrid is so used to having it. I've been to loads of festivals this year, and it's always Madrid and whatever.
Yeah, it's true.
You only really have it. I mean, I'm a big fan of the Indian name called Akbars. I don't know if they've got them down your way as well. And they don't do any draft lager. And I think the only beers that they do in bottles is the Cobra and the Star Brahman. And I look forward, just as much as I look forward to having the Indian cuisine, I look forward to obviously having the Cobra.
Do you get a sore head when you drink Cobras, though? Because I've noticed whenever I have a curry and I have a few extra Cobras, I know the next day I've got a sore head.
I don't know. I genuinely, believe it or not, I've been to all these holidays, festivals and whatever. I've not actually had an hangover this year. Not one I can remember, honestly.
He's cracked it. He's cracked the code.
I'll let you into a little beer secret, though. It is never the type of beer that gives you the hangover. It's the ABV and the amount you drink. So sometimes there are certain beers that are very easy to drink.
And you end up drinking more. I know that. It's funny you say that because it's almost laughable when customers say, "No, I'm not buying that tonight because I don't want an hangover. Or I'm not drinking that tonight. So, oh no, I'm not having that because it makes me like this." And it's nothing to do with that. You drink what you like, and you drink the amount that you want to drink.
Yeah. So the only thing I would add on that is obviously a massive brand. I guess the great thing is about Magic is that recognisable that people have in the on trade within pubs, but then from an off trade and a convenience store, so a can and a bottle, we're seeing convenience. You guys, I'm sure, will be seeing it. That shift into can. But there are a lot of consumers that also want a bottle, particularly in that premium and world lager space. So that is why we actually have both formats in Madri. And there's nothing better than alcohol Madri in a bottle or a can. And some people will decant it into a glass. But like you say, Jazz, it does taste different probably out of a bottle sometimes than it does on draft.
Yeah, definitely. Do you do how do you do on the smaller bottles? Because I've noticed like Booker don't stock the 4-pack Madri in the smaller NRB bottles, but then Blakemore do. I just wondered, was there a reason that it's not been
all it'll be down to range rationalisation across every customer. So every wholesaler and retailer will decide on how many SKUs they can take in their depot or wholesale and retail range. Okay. So for example, I deal with Blakemore, every day and week. So obviously they take both those 4-packs. Different customers will have a different opinion. I guess cans generally do better than the bottles across the board, across all brands generally, and that's why you've seen brands like Peroni bring a can out because of that convenience towards can. But obviously, bottle has still got a very big part to play as well.
And obviously, the take home fridge packs are really, they're really popular as well now within the store. So.
Yeah, so we've just seen a massive uplift this year in our 10-pack cans. So ideal for convenience, easy to stack, easy to put in the chiller. The 12-pack bottle also does very well as well. Generally, it's not more grocery and convenience, but still has a big part to play. So again, those are great for occasions. And who knows, the sizes at some point will get bigger. As that demand gets bigger for bigger packs.
Good. Well, let's go on to the last and the final one.
Cool. So this one is Star Promen. So Czech Pilsner. Czechs love their beer. And they take it incredibly seriously. I don't know if this has changed and why let the truth get in the way of a good story. I believe Czechs drink more beer per capita than any other country in the world. So they absolutely love it. And this one started its life in 1869. So Wilhelm Pick, Jan Kahot.
I got a question.
Yes.
I just took a sip of this beer, right?
Yeah.
And it's almost left a trail in the glass. The other beers didn't do that.
Okay. So it's a higher ABV. That's 5%. So Pilsner is a style of lager, and it gets its name from the Czech town of Pilsen. Germans, early 1800s, who invented the style of making beer called lagering. They were fleeing war, so they brought their style of brewing over to what is now Czechia, and settled in Pilsen. The people of Pilsen loved this beer so much that they named it for their town, and they developed yeast strands for it, etc. So they developed this style of beer in its own right, and Pilsner was the idea. Wilhelm Pick Jan Cahote decided to take this back to Prague, where they were from, and that was 1869. And so Staropramen is still going now. So Czech Pilsner it's a hop-forward lager, so you automatically get a little bit more of that bitterness come through on it. But for me, the key on this one is a little bit of almost like a bready sweetness, almost like a raw honey in the middle of it. You try it, you get through the middle of it, this kind of raw honey, not like squeezy honey you put in your toast that's really sugary sweet. It's almost like if you've been to a farmer's market, you get proper raw, straight from the beehive honey. It's got that kind of feel to it. So it's a really good balance. The hops and the bitterness are quite peppery, quite spicy. So that's why, because of the sweetness of the malt, the bitterness of the hops. If you've ever been to Prague and see how they serve beer there, it's literally half and half. To counteract the balance of the two. Obviously, we don't preach that here because we get more pints sent back than not. But adds to the way the beer is served, and this, without currying favour with anyone, this is my go-to lager of our portfolio. I quite like this beer for its balance.
Yeah,
but yes, go for it. Sorry,
I prefer it over the Madrid, to be honest.
Yeah,
it's much more similar to Stella.
Yeah.
See, I know I can't drink more than 10 of these, so I'd have to be careful.
What happened to the Prava then? Because we don't see that anymore. Did you see it in some of the in fact, I remember that.
Yeah, so Prava still in the entree, so we still sell it on draft.
Yeah.
And actually performs really well and is a really good option as customers want something a bit higher quality and a bit more flavour.
Is it the same? Is it 5% then? Did you say? Is it the same ABV as the Starbucks?
No. So Prava is a 4% version of Staropramen.
Right.
I say Prava's the little brother of Staropramen. So, basically, I guess Prava's on a similar footing to a brand like Amstel, where it's a step above a core lager. But someone probably doesn't want to have a higher ABV product, where this is the full tankard version, 5%, super hoppy, lots of flavour. Where Prava's got a bit of flavour, but a bit more tapered down to suit and be a bit more accessible as such. Because some people drink Prava and find it a bit too flavoursome, and therefore that's why I prefer something like that. Sorry, Dan, I've probably overtook that on a beer knowledge perspective. You're on mute.
I couldn't really have said it better myself. Prava's your lighter, crisper version. This one is your more full-bodied, robust 5% lager. More of your traditional Czech Pilsner outright, if you like.
And I guess then to put another off-trade lens on Staropramen, we brought these little things out at the start of this year, a can version. Okay. So we've only ever took, well done, Amit, that's a good one. So we only ever took format, and actually we know because it was one can, and it was something that the trade actually specifically asked us to produce, and that's when I brought a can out. I'm sure there'll be lots more formats coming down the line. But yeah, and also from a differential in that chiller, I talked about so many Spanish and Italian lagers in the market now. This gives a really differential in the chiller. So if you're looking to put your chillers out and you go, right, okay, I want some Spanish beers, some Italian beers, some Polish lagers, some European lagers, you then got Czech, you cover all your bases. You have too many Spanish or too many Italian, although they're all big brands, they're the same consumers. So actually, it's a great way of sort of investing sales by trying something different to fit a different consumer. I'll just give it a bit of
I think the way you differentiate it is different to the way some of our customers do. This would be session beer, food beer,
Yep.
get smashed beer.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Sums it up very well, Amit.
That's the majority of the walk-in customers that are going to impulse purchase.
Yeah, I agree.
Good stuff.
People have their own taste and their own preferences. As much as we would advise that something goes with something, if someone really, really enjoys a Sauvignon Blanc with their steak, who am I to tell them otherwise?
Well, let's bring Rachel in and let's ask Rachel what her favourite is. Go on, Rachel. One last bit from you.
I'm sorry, I'm an Aspel cider girl.
Favourite snack to go with the beer then? What's your favourite snack?
Oh, steak McCoys. I'll let you all carry on your Thursday nights with a beer now.
Amit, cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Well,
Thanks
cheers.
for it.